Hello there everybody, it's Kendra here from This DIY Mom Life. Today I'm really excited to kind of redo one of my very first tutorials here on the channel, and that is using a pair of adult pants to make a pair of kid size pants. This is a very simple upcycle, and especially when you're using things like the original hem and adding a stretchy waistband, it is a fun, quick little project, and it really is helpful and useful, especially during the potty training stages when pants being quick to slip up and down are so important and useful. So I'm going to show you kind of step by step how you can transform the adult size pants into a pair for your toddler or preschooler. If you're new here, please don't forget to click the red subscribe button to see more videos from me. And if you like this video, click the thumbs up and it will help share the love to others as well. So here are the supplies we need. I've got this pair of pants. It's like a cargo pair with zip-off bottoms, and this pair is in really awesome shape, and my husband bought them knowing he only really wanted the shorts, but they were really inexpensive and worth purchasing, and I decided to use the cut-off bottom portion for this tutorial to show you how we're going to make our pants. Now I also have a pair of pants to kind of work as my model. These are just an Old Navy size 3, and that's what I'm going to be using to kind of, since we don't have a pattern piece, to model the pants after. I also have this old pair of leggings that have been kind of retired from regular wear, and that's what I'm going to use to make the waistband on this pair. Now you can just use stretchy fabric, or you can fold it over and add a piece of elastic to make a more traditional waistband, but in the spirit of upcycling, I'm going to go ahead with these. We'll be utilizing a sewing machine, as well as you need some good scissors or else a rotary mat and cutter and some thread that matches. It's also going to be helpful to have some pins to use for this project. So I've gone ahead and turned both pairs inside out, and you can see here, this is the seam that I want to keep for the outer edge of my pants. So that is where I have lined it up. Now also, because I'm keeping this original hem, I do not need to leave extra room to hem it like you typically would when sewing. And then I also want to remember I need some seam allowance here. And so I've gone ahead just with a permanent marker and traced up until this point here, and then I've also marked at the top where the waistband is going to begin. So I've marked the halfway point here, and I'm just going to loosely draw the line to see where the top of my pants are going to be. Now I'm going to fold them so we can see that back seam a little better. So here I'm folded in half, and like I said, doing the back first, keeping this as close to the edge as I can, and just laying this flat to see. Now I'm going to kind of trace the direction of this line and meet up with the center back that I marked before. I'm now going to flip this over and mark the front. I've refolded my pants so that now I'm going to be modeling after the front. You want to make sure obviously that you're on the right side of your pants so that you have it marked correctly. I'm going to go ahead by just tracing the leg to start with and remembering to give that seam allowance. And on this pair here, if you kind of stretch it out, you can see, and I'm going to do the same thing where I mark where the waistband meets the top, just so I have that as a guide. And then also the kind of the halfway point if it was stretched flat. I'm just going to follow the curve and connect these 2 points here. Now I'm ready to cut this out. So this piece is 1/2, so 1 leg piece. I'm going to lay it flat on top of my other one. Well, I'll fold it and lay it flat so we can see, and just trace it and cut my second leg. Now these are my 2 pieces, front and back. Since I'm going to be adding some pockets on the side, I want to do that before I sew up my pants. However, this is an optional step and certainly not required for making your pants. So just just cut 2 rectangles out of the bottom of my pants. Again, this is the original hem, and I want that to be kind of the top of the pocket that folds over. Now the point of this video is more just the basic construction, so I'm going to zoom through the pocket pretty quickly, but I am going to start just by folding down the edge, stitching it so that it'll be a nice finished edge at the top of the pocket, and then I'm going to stitch it flat onto my pants, these 3 sides, and then I'm going to take my top piece, fold down my raw edge, and just sew this on so that it overlaps the top of the pocket.
So now we're ready to cut our waistband before we sew all the pieces together. And again, I'm just modeling this after the pair of pants I have. And you can see that here, this is the width unstretched and it stretches quite a bit. So where I cut it, I'll just have to stretch it to make it fit my waistband here. So I'm going to cut this and I'll need to seam the side since this is too wide. So I just want to leave enough room for the seam allowance. So now our first seam will be to sew the legs together. So you want to fold it right sides together and do your best to line these up here from the bottom all the way up to this part. If there's a curve, you want to put a few pins in to make sure you're following the curve, and even though they are a little bit different, this is going to help to give enough room, especially on the bum side. So I went ahead and sewed the legs. You can see that I used this stitch pattern here just because I didn't want this fabric to fray, and I think it is prone to it. And then I also just sewed my waistband into a loop. So I'm ready to do the front and the back now. Now for this, there's a few different ways you can do it, but you want to keep in mind right sides together. So I'm going to turn one leg right way out, and I'm actually just going to insert it right inside the other one. So the right sides will be sandwiched together, and I'll be sewing on the outside. I'm again just lining up these side seams to make sure everything lines up where it needs to be. And I'm going to put a pin. This is right between the legs. That's important to get lined up. Maybe you can see better here that we have one leg inside the other, and we're going to be sewing from the back waistband all the way to the center and back up to the front, all in one seam. It's kind of a V shape. Now our final step is to attach the waistband. You should be able to see which way is the back and which is the front, and you'll want to make sure to make put the seam that you made at the back. Now because these are still inside out, I am just going to kind of fold it down on the inside and put pins around. You also want to make sure that it is evenly distributed, because if you pull it really tight to start with, then it won't sit flat or be even all the way around. Now we have it pinned and we are going to sew it. You do want to remember to use a zigzag stretch stitch, or you can use your serger, pulling gently to line it up as you go. Alright, so now that my waistband is attached, I am going to do just a quick little top stitch, and I want to make sure I don't top stitch on the stretchy part, just on the bottom here. However, when you flip it over, you can really see that seam I just made, and I'm picturing it being kind of a bother or kind of scratchy on the sides. So when I sew, I'm going to make sure to flip this down, and then when I top stitch just below this line here, it will catch it and help it to lie flat. I'm also going to note I am going to increase my stitch length just to kind of help prevent any seams from popping. Alright everybody, that's really all there is to it, to take a pair of adult pants and make them sized for a toddler or a preschooler. I hope this also helped clear up some of the questions from the original video. However, if you are coming from there, thank you for all the support in that tutorial. If you have any other questions, please leave them down below and I will do my best to answer them. And if you have any other ideas of things you can make from adult jeans or pants, let me know. I'm always looking for new ideas and new upcycles. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you all next week. Bye!